So you're going to be talking about Pakistan, it looks like.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So, anything you wanted to talk about?
Well, my tummy hurts because I think it's because I've been eating dairy today.
Oh,
But I don't
you're
know.
somewhat allergic to it. Is that what
I don't know.
tentatively figuring? Anyway, this looks pretty good here. Hopefully that'll help settle your stomach, right?
Well, it's
Potatoes
just
are-
fried potatoes with garlic and onion,
Yeah, I don't know if garlic
salt,
and frying.
pepper. And then I'm having well, it's a salad my grandma used to make, but I'm making it differently. I made it with like she'd make shredded cucumber with the salt and pepper and sour cream, but I made with yogurt. It's sort of like an Indian dish this way. It's nice.
I just got to check on.
You can have some.
Okay. I just got to check to see if Elvis is inside.
Why would he not be?
Well, he wasn't rushing to
What'd you do to him? James has been telling me all about this. All about Pakistan while he's reading.
Yeah, he was in the rat cave. I don't know why he wasn't rushing out there. The rat cave is on the paradigm of the bat cave, where the dogs. It's your chair basically, right? The one that you get underneath there. Ordinarily, it's Angel there, but she's probably under there too.
Yeah, they like hiding under there.
Yeah, well, he's kind of been in the doghouse, only it's the rat house because he and they've got a little dog bed, you know, like the way dog beds are. And there was a bit of food in there in a tin can that they weren't that impressed with. So when you were gone at the library and I went over to my place to check the tomato plants and other plants, they decided to express their disaffection and dissatisfaction
For the
by
food.
peeing on the outside of the bed, but most of the pee was on against the tin inside the bed, and it looked a little bit like a wading pool. That's how much pee they'd expended inside there. It was impressive.
They
Of
must
course,
have had
I
a lot of
wasn't-
fun, those boys.
Yeah, well, you were figuring they were stomping around, kind of laughing about it. Dogs do
Probably.
laugh. Come on, you know, they kind of, and that's not just when they're too hot. and stuff.
Gosh.
Anyway, the book for the day. I used to have a book of the day club, and I was the only person perhaps in the world who belonged to it. Well, you get through a
But
book
now
of the day.
I
Yeah, you
belong to
get
it.
through a book of the day. I had to get through a book, and it didn't matter. Like it was Charles Dickens, one of his big, long magnum opuses, or you know, something written by Kurt Vonnegut. Which you could slam through. Of course, if I was reading a Kurt Vonnegut thing, I'd slam through a bunch of stuff. So it had to be minimum a book of the day. So that was built on the paradigm of Book of the Month Club. I thought I was going to outdo them by not even having a book of the week, but a book of the day. That's when I was.
Yeah, but
20.
I don't always read a book every day.
Come pretty close from what I can tell. Anyway, because I'm reading, and so like today, what did I slam through? I mean, I don't go through it fast, but it's like I went through a little bit of the bell jar in the Sylvia Plath bell jar in Norwegian. I'm teaching myself Norwegian by going through the bell jar in Norwegian and then in the original English. Back and forth, back and forth. So I end up reading it in the Norwegian 4 times and reading it in the English twice. So, no, just once actually. But, so what I do is I'll go through and I'll read it in the Norwegian. Then I'll go through it and every word I'll put the English equivalent by. Then third reading I'll go through and check it against the original, my translation, word for word. And then I'll go through and read it through again in Norwegian. So 4 times in the Norwegian. So I only go through a page every maybe half hour or something like that. exactly, I guess, or as exactly as I can be at this point. And also, what did I go through? Some Hebrew, same sort of thing. Now it's modern day Hebrew. It's the New Testament translated into Hebrew. It's eventually I get around to reviewing it, but it's again I go through the same process. I go through the Hebrew 4 times, and I'll go through the English, which is given. It's a good bilingual edition. It gives.
That does seem interesting just all on its own, going like translating the New Testament into Hebrew.
Into Hebrew from the Greek, but I'm not so sure if they didn't go from the King James thing. I'd want to go from the original Greek, but there you go. So this one took me a while to get through. I've been working away at it. You're actually witness to it, right? It hasn't been like because I go through every map, everything on every map, and every little detail in the map and so on and so forth. It's not like whipping through Kurt Vonnegut or early or even late Aldous Huxley. I read a lot of them this summer. I turned 20. Lots of Aldous Huxley, a lot of Charles Dickens. The next summer it was Kurt Vonnegut. I can't remember who all it was, but I can remember lots. I went through all the Kurt Vonnegut stuff up to Breakfast of Champions. I don't think I've read anything that he wrote after that since. So,
all right.
Anyway, Pakistan. Okay, so this is Lonely Planet's Guide to Pakistan, circa 2000. I think it's 1998. We'll see if I got it right. 1998. There you go. And we got a lot of work, I think, to be done. We're developing tolerance here on this side of what some see as a divide. I don't see it as being nearly the divide a lot of people do. When we study Pakistan, when we study the Near Middle East, whatever you want to call it, we are studying the West. So all you big devotees of Edward Said, you had flunkies serving in the British Empire. Everywhere they're calling themselves Orientalists. It was a misnomer when they were studying the Middle or the Far East, or even as far as Pakistan. When you're studying Islam, you're studying something that comes out of the Judeo-Christian tradition. The Judeo-Christian tradition is Western. When you study, and I tried to make noises, and it might have had some sort of effect. Some sort of noises. I'm a history major at the University of Latvia. I made some noises about how the introductory text for years in the history department was our Western heritage. What? Finally, I think other people had something to do with this too. They got an alternative introductory thing. They didn't change the original thing with our Western heritage. They gave you an alternative route, which was to study our world history. It's bizarre. Now, it's important to study Western history, but it's important to study all the histories and things like that. Now, one of the arguments I got was from, who'd we get to teach it? You hire new people. You train new people. It's been decades they've been teaching this kind of stuff. They should have been training people. Hire them, give them some money, whatever. Make it required. It should be required. I don't think it's required at most universities to take history. To take world history. People don't understand history. And I'm not talking about militia types and all this sort of stuff and neo-Nazis only. I'm talking about them. But I'm talking about crunchy granola types. The people who are going around, I tolerate everything, just so long as I don't have to know what it's really about. That doesn't work. Because reality eventually, Ignorance is bliss. Or maybe it's innocence. No. Once you get past age 18 and you don't know what's going on, it's not the I word innocence, it's the I word ignorance. So ignorance is bliss. Yeah, until reality comes and hits you upside the head. And the big trouble is, if you're part of an entity, like I, try to learn whacks of languages, dozens of languages, try to learn about dozens of religions and stuff like that, I end up getting hit upside the head too, though I don't deserve it, because of the ignorance of right-wingers and so-called left-wingers, they're faux gauches. You've actually got to read stuff, and not just stuff that you like reading. Oh, I like reading this little book. It's a cartoon book, and you might have seen it, on communism or Marxism or Marx. It's all well thumbed, and I'm thinking of a particular person. I go through their collection of Karl Marx stuff, like Das Kapital. I open up. It's all pristine. It's not thumbed. I don't care about the cartoon stuff. Read the original, especially if, like this person I'm thinking of, you're strutting around telling people you're a commie. Well, a communist. He wouldn't say commie. But, yeah, you might as well say commie, because, yeah. Anyway, so here we go. Pakistan. And it is a revelation to read, because I'm saying we need more tolerance here in the West, and we need more Pacific people. But here's what we've got for Pakistan. What does Pakistan mean? Land of the pure. Might not be the greatest translation, but it's something like that. Land of the pure. So is it pure fun, or what is it? Okay. Here are the boxed index, boxed text. So these are special highlights, like you got to watch out, right? Or whatever, things to look out for. There's some great stuff, Kalasha festivals or Kalasha festivals, so on and so forth. Okay, so it's less than a page. Are we agreed on that?
Yes.
3 columns, but less than a page. About half of a column, the last column, Bustard besieged. Okay, so much for sustainability. They let people from the Persian Gulf come in and hunt the bustard. It looks as if they're hunting it to death because, hey, that helps to get their bustard, actually. Buzzard might come from the bustard. Anyway, it helps to keep their falcons exercised or stuff like that. So they're wiping it out. So, yeah, one guy was telling me all about Islam, and his Sufi was saying, we really respect the environment. Well, you tell that to those emirs or whatever from the Persian Gulf, because I don't want to hear the talk, I want to see the walk, okay? Now, so this is about a sixth of all these entries, okay? Warning. That's just a warning, a general warning. Warning, travel in Baluchistan. Warning, travel in Indus Kohistan. Kohistan would mean something like land of mountains. Okay, so that's the Indus. The Indus isn't just all on flat plain, right? Warning, travel in Punjab. Warning, travel in Sindh. Warning, travel in the northwest frontier provinces. Then women's...
Warning about what?
Okay. It's generally, when you go out off the main highway, you'd better have a guide. And that guide better be armed. Oh, we hear about how violent the United States is. Now, the Pakistan itself seems to be not as violent as Honduras or Guatemala. Maybe as violent as Mexico. But how much more violent is Mexico than the United States? Well, they get, the last stats I checked indicated 20 murders per 100,000 people per year. Here in Lethbridge, it used to be maybe one per year. Some years we wouldn't have any. And Lethbridge is now the most apparently violent city in all of Canada. So I don't know if it's gone up to 2 or 3 or whatever, but yeah. So Mexico, maybe 10 times that, 20 times that. The United States, well, it's got to be worse than Mexico because everyone knows. I've had people tell me with a straight face, and they've got, well, one person with a straight face, that that the United States is the most violent place in the world. What? You know, like I tried not to roll my eyes and tried not to pass my hand across my brow in not utter despair, because it's kind of like what I expect, but in some measure of despair. I just said, there are places that are way more violent. And guess what? I was right. You know, this was without even checking the stats. So, the United States, the last time I checked, 4.7 murders per 100,000 per year. Mexico, 20. Guatemala, 38. Honduras, which is apparently the worst in the world, 90. 90, that's like more than 18 times than the United States. 18 times. And to put it in perspective, some people don't understand when it's 18 times, it's plus 18. I think that's what they feel down in their gut. Would you rather owe $1 million or $18 million? Or let's take that down, you know, a 1 0. Would you rather owe $100,000? And lots of people owe $100,000. Or $1.8 million. That's tough hole to get out of. 18 times is a lot more. It's incredibly more. Okay? Now, so yeah, you got people just walking around with Kalashnikovs. I mean, you know, Afghanistan, they've got their kids walking around with Kalashnikovs, herding sheep and stuff like that. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's just, you're told you'd better go with a guide, and that guide had better be armed. Now, what is the problem with this? Okay, so how many different areas mainly do they have in, I mean, they don't have a warning about Kashmir, and maybe there's not that much violence there because the violence has basically been being visited on India's share, which the people in Pakistan think is not their fair share. They think the fair share is 0% of Kashmir. Yeah, so let me see. Balochistan, Indus-Khoistan is a particular area. Punjab, that's one of the main areas. Sindh, Northwest Frontier Province. What's been left out? When I look at a map here, there's Balochistan, there's Sindh, there's the Punjab, and the Northwest. Oh, they've covered all 4 main areas. There's no place where you can get away, unless you're like on a main highway. But they're even warning people about wandering around Karachi, the big city. It's about 10 million people. It was back then. I shudder to think what it's like, because the world's population back around this time was 6 billion, now it's 7.8 billion, and it's places like Pakistan that are just overpopulating the world, because you got people, they're refugees from there. Oh man, global warming. Yeah, you know, like global warming is bad. Where is it particularly affecting? What countries are really, really hammering? Well, 2 of the countries are Australia and part of a country, California. Even now, Australia's had droughts, fires, and stuff like that. Now there are places that get infected as badly as that, and we don't hear about it. But are people fleeing Australia? No, they've got refugees trying to pile onto this raft. And then how about the United States? Well, you know, like they'd be selectively hammering in on California. I suspect Texas has probably had some droughts, hammering in on there. So, you know, like it really isn't global warming. What's driving refugees and people fleeing conflict and fleeing poor economic conditions is overpopulation And that's fueling a lot of the fighting and stuff like that. It's fueling a lot of the bad economics. The other thing, of course, is belief systems. You know, belief systems actually have, get ready, Fogoshes, like strap on your seatbelt, put on your helmets, and you know where to put the cork from Tommy. You know, like maybe put on, you know, see no evil, hear no evil, you know, like maybe put in some earplugs and stuff like that, because you're going to get the unvarnished truth. Understand, maybe I should call my part of this program too true to be good. I'm not too good to be true. I'm too true to be good. I'm going to tell you the truth, the unvarnished truth. You know, like belief systems have their economic consequences. So you look at the Republicans in the United States, these flunky globalists and stuff like that, and since 1947, they presided over 10 of the 11 recessions in the United States. The Republicans bring on, or let happen, in the case of, you know, if they're in for 8 years, they bring on a recession early on to fight inflation. And at the end of it, then that's when they have the big recession, which they should call the Depression, which is like what happened in 2008. What happened a little bit late with Bush baby in 1991 and stuff like that. That's Bush baby senior. And the economic fallout at the end of the Nixon administration, you know. So their belief system, their practice, their belief practice system and stuff like that, it has economic consequences. They don't handle the economy well as the Democrats. Now, if you let some of the Democrats, these wild and crazy Bernie Sanders supporters, and you're probably saying, holy smokes, he's not that far left. He's a Russian agent. Come on. You know, he's funded by the Russians. That, I think, has been fairly well documented. He's a Russian agent, just like Donald Trump. And you idiots who are supporting, Bernie Sanders, you're just as stupid as the Donald Trump supporters, the big supporters of the United States. You know, he's a nationalist. We support Trump and anyone who supports him, like Vladimir Putin and the Russians. Go, go, go. You idiots. You basically surrendered the Cold War to Putin. after you defeated the commies. Like, stupid militia types walking around there camouflaged. I'm really camouflaged well. I'm walking through a concrete jungle and everyone can see me. You stupid idiots. Anyway, here we go. Pakistan. Now, there's some wonderful people in here. You know, they keep on saying, oh, you know, they're supposed to have hospitality, and they'll talk about certain valleys where people will greet you with open arms. But then they'll say, oh, you got to watch out because it's not open arms, it's loaded arms. You know what I'm saying? So they're saying you got to watch out. You know, like, yeah. So that hospitality thing, you know, it should be pretty well anywhere you go in here, you're going to be treated with hospitality.
And you were talking about how they don't let people have citizenship when they come in.
Refugees. Yeah, they're refugees, fellow Muslims, in most cases, like from Afghanistan, to let them in. They're looking to kick them back. You know, they were looking to kick them back. These were refugees from the Taliban who basically took power maybe 96. This is in 98. They're already trying to kick them back. Ooh, that would be fun. You know what I'm saying? Hey, the Taliban aren't that bad. You know, like 2 years later. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So this is the way refugees should be, at least in principle, treated. In other words, when it's safe to go back. It wasn't safe to go back to Afghanistan in 98 or something like that. When it's safe to go back, they should go back to where they came from. It's pretty simple. You know, like if I had a refugee someplace, I would not be saying, hey, you gotta take me now. I gotta be a citizen. No, it doesn't work out that way. It doesn't work out that way. Not as a refugee. If you want to come in, so refugees, every refugee should be allowed in. Even Nazis should be allowed in. They shouldn't be allowed to mix. And no refugee should be allowed to mix, like around. Bomb, 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 just walk around because you don't know who's coming in. You don't know. I mean, there were lots of refugees after World War II. And they went to places like Latin America. The place where most of the Nazis went, I should say the plurality, maybe the majority of them went, was not South America. You never hear about where they went. They went to where people were the most, they went to Latin America. There's a lot of anti-Semitism there via the Catholic Church and stuff like that. But they went to where the people were the most anti-Semitic. And, you hear about Hitler and Goering and many of the, Himmler, I believe, too. Pretty well all of the major league flunkies of the Nazi administration. They're going, the Germans let us down. They let us down. I just wish, Hitler, like this became like a soundbite, a regular soundbite for him in his bunker in the middle of Berlin, stuff like that. As the Russians were coming after him, he'd have a harangue. He'd be haranguing the secretaries and stuff like that, and they'd be trying to keep rolling their eyes, saying, "Geez, when are the Russians going to get here and sexually assault us?" Good old commies. But at any rate, the Germans were bad in World War II when they were in Slavic areas, but that doesn't say Stalin has to be as bad when he's letting his troops loose like a bunch of pit bulls coming back in. Bad advertisement for left-wingers. Now, so Hitler's saying, gosh darn it, the Germans let me down, they're Christians. Everyone's going, hey, Hitler's a Christian. Well, he was raised in a Christian area. He's kind of like a mixture of Catholic and Lutheranism and stuff like that, but he wasn't a Christian. Come on. So he's saying, gosh darn it, why do they have to be Christians? I wish they'd been really good fighters. I wish they'd been Muslim. Okay, there you go. So you take that for what it's worth. It's him and his flunkies saying it, repeated number of times. And when they escaped Germany, when they escaped the hangman's noose at Nuremberg and stuff like that, where did they selectively go to? Lots and lots of them went to Latin America. But more went to the Middle East. And they went there for a reason. They wanted to whack the Jews. They wanted to finish the job. And they knew the people there would be more sympathetic towards it. So Otto Skorzeny, however you pronounce his name, that's where he went. And he trained Yasser Arafat. What did someone say about Yasser Arafat? He'd do anything for Otto. And that's not anything for a car without the indefinite article. He'd do anything for Otto Skorzeny. Now, who's Otto Skorzeny? He's the guy who was credited with saving Hitler from the bomb attempt on him immediately after D-Day, or a few days after D-Day. Otto Skorzeny. He was a paratroop specialist. I think he might have been the guy who is given credit for rescuing Mussolini from the Italians after the Italians surrendered in World War II. So Otto Skorzeny. Yasser would do anything for Otto. So Skorzeny trained him in terrorism and stuff like that. And so you get some, at Yasser Arafat's funeral, you get some stupid flunky faux gauche news announcer from Sweden crying on air at Yasser Arafat's funeral. Yasser Arafat was a pan